Hello everyone, it's me Dan again, and this time I'm gonna make a bunch of JavaScript tutorials, pretty much specific for whatever we are being taught in school. I know that there is a lot of video tutorials on the net, and they are explaining a lot more in depth what's actually going on inside JavaScript. So I'm not gonna cover that. I'm gonna basically show the examples that Brennan Young showed us, and hopefully I'm also going to make a few tutorials on actually some functions that could help you with your Pixie book. I think that would be very nice. But obviously I'm also going to explain the syntaxes as I go along with the coding. Alright? So, this is the very first tutorial video for the example Brennan Young gave us. In this video I'm going to show you a variable, and I'm going to show you the basic syntax of JavaScript and function, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So first things first, inside our body tag here, we're going to have our scripting tag, because we need to refer that right now we do want to work with JavaScript. And the way that we do that is simply just by typing script tag begin and script tag end. Now, furthermore, this is a personal preference. I always like writing language defining what is actually going on inside this script tag. And furthermore, I also write type text/JavaScript. Both ways work, so no hard feelings there if you don't want to write this. Now, there is some browsers out there that is actually not capable of reading JavaScript. And for those browsers, we would actually like to let them know that this page needs JavaScript in order to be read. So how do we do that? Well, we use a noScript tag, and we write it like this: noScript tag begin and noScript tag end. And inside this one, we say this side requires JavaScript, like that. You can write whatever you want to. Now, this means that in case that they don't have it, this script tag would be printed on their page. Also, another thing that we can do for them to make it easier is by making a comment inside our JavaScript saying hide JavaScript, and we're gonna end it as well. So if they run the page, they're not going to be flooded with weird numbers and symbols because their browsers can't read JavaScript. It's just going to be stated as a comment, meaning that this noScript tag is pretty much the only thing that will be printed on their page. Now, the hide JavaScript is not what's hiding it, it's the comment tag here. You might know it from HTML/CSS. All right. So first things first, we need to create a variable. And how do we do that? We pretty much just write var. Var is equal a variable, and then we give it a name. And we name it how many clicks. Because in this tutorial, we're gonna make a JavaScript function that every time we click our page, it's gonna add 1 to the variable how many clicks. All right, makes sense. So we're gonna give the variable a value of 0. This means that it doesn't have a value, it still has a value, but the value is 0. So just make sure that you understand that. It's very important that you still think that this actually has the value. All right? Yeah. Now, next up is that we're gonna write document.onClick. And that is because we need to define that every time you, as a user of this page, click the document being the object, run a function. So we have to write function here, like that, and that is the skeleton of a function. So right now we have a variable, how many clicks equals to the value 0. Next up is whenever we click our document, run this actions or this script here on click, which is equal to a function that we're now going to define. So don't panic so far. I know this might sound a bit complicated, but it's basic, all right? And I'm gonna try and help you out here. So inside our function, right now nothing happens, okay? We know that when we click the document, it has to run a function, but the function does not have any scripting language. So we're gonna make sure that it has that. So we refer to our variable, how many clicks, and this time we're gonna use an add sign, and we're gonna add 1. So every time we click on our document, the function will run and inside our function, the variable howManyClicks would add 1 to itself. Okay, but if I were to run this, it would still do it, but it would not be displayed. And the example that Brennan Young gave us, he would like it to be displayed inside the title, meaning up here. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, in JavaScript, you refer to like this. You say document.title, like that, equals to what? How many clicks? Like that. So right now, it would actually display how many clicks, which is the variable, and every time we click it, it will run this function and would pretty much just display how many clicks we have performed. So let's try and check it. So right now, the title is set to JavaScript tutorial. Once I click it, it says 1, and it will just continue adding. So far, it works. But let's say, what if we actually want to display inside our fan here what 10 actually is? We want to tell that the user knows that this is actually how many times that you have clicked. Well, we can add a string to it. A string concatenation is made like this, and we can write clicks. The thing is, document.title equals a string and then a variable, and the way that we actually combine these two is by using an add symbol like that. So right now, this knows that we have a string followed by a variable, and we can even add more string. And how do we do that? Well, we use another add, and then we add a string again, and we could probably say something like, I don't know, exclamation mark like that. Okay, we save it and check again just to make sure it works, and it does. We can see the string clicks, the variable being how many clicks, and then another string being the 2 exclamation marks. But we do want to make a bit of a gap between them. How do we create the space? Well, the thing is, inside this, it would actually read the space as being space, and we'll add it as well. So we add a space on both sides inside the string, meaning that we just leave this little tiny blank after the clicks, and before the exclamation marks. Here we do it as well. Alright, let's see what works. You can see now we have this little gap between them, so it's easier to read. Alright? Now, next up as well, once we actually click this document, we want to change the background color and the style color of our text. So how do we do that? Well, first off, we need to add some text to our document. So we can just make an h1 here saying this is the first steps in JavaScript. Alright? Like that. Nothing special there. And how do we do this? Well, we refer to the document once again, and this time we refer to the body, and the body we refer to style, and the style we refer to background, and then color with a big capital C, like that. You can see it even pops up here, and it's referred to as CSS style. So we need that. And typical when you're referring to a style, you'll have the syntax being a bit different than what we're actually creating in JavaScript. This time we set it equal, and then you can use the hashtag, and you can write in any color that you want, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to write red here, and we close it. Okay, so you can see right now this function has a lot of different values. The first value being the variable at 1. Next up, the document.title has to have a string saying writing clicks, plus the variable how many clicks, plus another string exclamation mark, and would display it in the title. And the third thing would actually be that it changed the background color to red instead of just being this plain white. And we also want to change the text on this document, meaning this first steps in JavaScript h1 up here would actually change from just being plain black to being yellow, for an example. So let's try that. So guess what? We write document.what.body.style. So far you can see the same syntax up here, but since we're not interested in the background color anymore, we're interested in what? The color, because the color always refers to just the text. And we write yellow, like this. So it's a bit different, I know, in terms of referring to styles in JavaScript, and that might confuse you a bit if you're just accustomed to work with CSS now, because this is a bit different. Hopefully you're not gonna play around too much with the style inside JavaScript. I could see a few times where it could be handy. Otherwise, leaving the CSS in a CSS document is probably the best way. But in case you do want some fancy little scripting going on, this is the way that you have to do it. All right? So our function right now should actually run these things. So let's test it. So you can see I have our first steps in JavaScript in our H1. If I click it once, oh dear God, it actually works. You can see clicks, 1 exclamation mark, and the first steps in JavaScript has changed to yellow and the background has changed to red. And I can keep clicking and you can see, well, basically nothing changed in here, but everything changed up in the fan. So folks, I really hope that this tiny retarded tutorial on actually JavaScript helped you understand something. All right? Keep in mind there is more to come. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.